Hi, I'm D&C Digital Health reporter Patti Singer, and today we're going to talk about something that has happened to a lot of us. We get a letter from a company telling us our personal information may have been hacked, and the company will pay for some free credit monitoring for a period of time. Then that time runs out. What do we do? Josephine Wolf is an assistant professor in the public policy department at RIT. Her research includes cybersecurity, law and policy, and insurance and liability protection for computer security incidents. She researches cybersecurity policy. She's written for Slate, The Atlantic, Scientific American, other publications, and she's going to share some of her expertise with us today. So, Josephine, I learned I've been hacked. So for starters, where is that information now, and can I do anything about it?
Well, we don't know exactly where it is. Most likely it's being stored on servers outside the country, probably in Russia or Eastern Europe, where it's going to be transferred to black market forums online that you can access through the deep web, and people are going to sell it. And sell it to people who want to use it to open credit reports or open credit cards or take out loans or commit health insurance fraud, depending on what kind of information it is, and try to use it to profit financially most of the time. Okay, so can I go www.darkweb.org or darkweb.ru and find out where this stuff is? Those would not be the best. I mean, there probably are some websites, right? If you do searches even just on normal social media sites like Facebook, like Twitter, for, say, the CVC codes on the backs of credit cards, you can usually find some for sale. But the most sophisticated, the most savvy criminals are going to be selling them on websites that you access through proxies, that you put another layer between yourself and your computer when you connect to, that's not just typing in a regular URL the way you would to go to a normal website.
So the dark web has its own security that people like us can't hack into.
It has its own anonymization level,
okay.
right? You can sort of put a little more distance between your computer and the sites you're accessing.
Okay. So what am I supposed to do? My credit monitoring is going to run out. I'm concerned about this for me. We'll get to our kids a little bit later. But am I powerless in this?
Most effective thing you can do is freeze your credit, which basically means that nobody can put in an inquiry for your credit without you giving explicit consent for your credit to be unfrozen and to issue a report. And that means if somebody tries to open an account in your name or really do anything in your name that requires a credit check, they won't be able to do it because they won't be able to get that credit report from the major credit bureaus. So that's sort of the most extreme step. There's a less extreme step of a credit alert where you call up the bureaus and you say, for the next 90 days, please call me if anybody tries to put in an inquiry under my account. Make sure that's something I was really doing and not somebody else trying to use my account in their name.
So is that what these credit monitoring services do when we get the letter, you can sign up for credit monitoring? Did they do that for us?
They don't do that for you. What you usually get from a company that's been breached, that had information about you, is monitoring of when new accounts are open. So that's something that happens after identity theft has already been committed. They call you up and they say, ideally, somebody's just opened a new account under your name. Is that really you? And at that point, that's better than nothing. You can still take steps to try and mitigate the harm. The advantage of the alerts and the freezes is that they actually kind of preempt some of that. And before somebody can open up an account in your name or steal your money, they've already put a check in place to say, is this really you?
Okay, so what I do is I call the Experian and TransUnion and Equifax, and I would say, I want to put an alert on my
Exactly.
accounts.
Some of them you can do this online, not all of them.
Okay, all right. What about my kids? I mean, kids are not supposed to have credit. So what happens and what are parents supposed to do?
It's a little more complicated with kids because, as you say, unless somebody's stolen their identity, probably most of them don't have a credit report. So what you want to do is search for them, see if there's a credit report under your kids' names. If there is, then you want to freeze that immediately and ideally get it removed or whatever accounts are under their name you want to deal with. If there's not, you don't want to open one up because that just creates more opportunity for people to inquire about their credit, but you want to keep monitoring that periodically and make sure that every few months nobody's opened something in your kid's name, that their information isn't being used that way.
So how would I do that? I mean, how would I monitor? How would I go check for my kids if there's a report?
Easy ways to do it are to use websites like Credit Karma, where you can go put in their information and search. Is there any credit history here? Are there any kind of public records under their names and under their social security number for anything related to finances, related to credit?
People ask if that's safe. I'm putting in personal information to check on personal information. Is there kind of a catch-22 in that?
Well, you have to give somebody your information in order to look up your credit report. So if you don't trust the credit bureaus and you don't trust the credit reporting websites, then you're probably going to have a hard time checking up on any of these things. So, I mean, there's always risk involved when you give somebody your information, but I would say in those cases where you're giving information to credit bureaus or to reputable websites that interact with the credit bureaus, you're probably, I hope, going to be okay.
Yeah. What can those of us with the white hats, I guess, try to do to, you know, to protect our information and to try to keep ourselves safe on the web?
Well, a lot of these breaches, it's really not going to be up to you as an individual, right? If it's your healthcare provider or a retailer that you shop at, then you didn't have any control over how that information was being protected. On the other hand, there are a lot of good computer hygiene things that you can do related to always using encrypted traffic when you're online. That's the little lock icon in the upper left part of your browser that shows you're using SSL. You can be sure when you're putting information into websites that they're websites that have certificates that are valid, that show that they're really the websites they say they are. You can be careful about what emails you respond to, what attachments you open, be wary of malware coming at you from various different ways that way.
Okay. Josephine Wolf, who is a computer security expert at RIT, thank you very much
for
your information today. Again, I'm Patti Singer, health reporter for D&C Digital. Thank you.